It's time. All right. Or being tall. Okay, so the darkest part of my life was about 12 years ago. I was freshly divorced, and without getting into specifics, let's just say I was heartbroken. My life was upended, and my sense of identity was shattered. I was depressed and did not know which way was up. So I did the only thing I knew to do to open up some new options for my life, which was to go back to school. As a UF employee, I signed up for the Employee Education Program, which gives free tuition for UF employees. The degree was a Master's in Leadership Development. The first class of this program was called Interpersonal Leadership, and the thesis of this class was that you cannot lead others until you understand yourself. To accomplish this, the professor forced each of us students to share our story for 20 minutes with the rest of the class. Now, before you can tell your story, you have to write it. This is so very much not something I had ever done before. I was in a bad place, as I mentioned, and all I could really see was pain and sorrow and confusion, and I could not see how things could get any better until I sat down and wrote my story for the first time for this assignment. I looked at the big picture of my life for the first time in a number of months and realized that I had a through line that did not change, even though I was in, at that moment, a not-so-great place. In writing my story, I was able to see that my story was still being written, even if it might have felt like I was at an end at that time. And also that my story still had that beginning and middle, and it wasn't just this moment that I was in. In other words, I was able to step out of that darkness of my depression and see like a 1,000-mile view of my life. I could still engage in the meaningful things from before, and that would lead to something good after I got out of where the headspace that I was at, and frankly, that there would be an after period. Writing and then sharing my story was cathartic and powerful. It showed me that I was not my worst moments, that there's a bigger story that I'm living. So here I am, kind of buzzing from this new experience that I'm having and reflecting on what it means, and I'm handed my final project guidelines for this class to go out into the community and make change based on something that we talked about in this class. A classmate and I were inspired by storytelling, so we went to a couple of places on campus with a sign that said, "Tell me your story and I'll give you $1." Over the period of 2 weeks, we heard numerous stories from strangers. We heard about divorce, joy, health, both good and bad, family concerns, travel, hopes, dreams, and so much more. We sat with total strangers as they cried. We created a safe space for people to be heard. We created community in an unexpected place. After the assignment was over, we got an A, in case you were wondering. This classmate, now a friend, and I sat down at Maud's Coffee to debrief from this experience that we shared. And we looked at each other and said, we created something here that's important. Nobody asked us about our story until we were in graduate school. How many people are walking around who have never been asked for their story? And from our experience, we saw that there was power in creating a safe place for story sharing. We saw the impact of just listening. So what do we do with this? A door opened. Do we stay on this side of the door knowing, we had a very special class experience and we each made a new friend and just go about our lives? Or do we walk through that door, creating a space for others to write and share their stories, not knowing what may come, but knowing that there's a need and that we can see it? This was, to me, a God moment. And the further I've gotten from that moment, the more I see it as such. It was one of the most important doors I've ever had open in front of me. My friend and I decided to walk through that door. We developed a story workshop, which led to a whole lot of other things over the last decade. A nonprofit, a book, a conference, numerous events, and most importantly, opportunities for thousands of people to write and share their stories, which likely would not have happened otherwise. And at another level, listening to the call of the unknown introduced me to so many blessings in my personal life. My identity and sense of self got back to a good place. I met my wife doing this work, and by extension, my son. I was able to connect with the music community here in Gainesville in ways that have been meaningful. I've gotten better aligned job opportunities. The list goes on. Basically, everything good in my life has come from following this open door. In writing and sharing my story, I can see that the door, this path, was a holy choice, one of few in my life. We all, at one point or another in our lives, are faced with one of these open door moments. We have to step through into the unknown. It may require a lot of work and potentially a lot of change, but when we walk through that door, it opens the space in our life, heart, and spirits for the God, spirit, energy, universe, whatever word resonates with you, to move through us. You may be able to point to an open door you've walked through and can chart the story that came after, but whether you have or not, I encourage you to walk through your next open door. You can never know where that holy path will take you, but I can assure you, your story will be far more interesting if you listen to and heed that call.